Hey again, Kiwani Berkeley coming at you from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Alright, so today I'll be doing a quick lesson for the Coursera Introduction to Music Production online course. I'll be doing a quick review of MIDI, recording MIDI, and quantizing. I'm working with Ableton Live, and I just want to make sure all my settings are good before I start recording anything. Alright, so I go to Live. This up here on the menu bar. Then I click on Preferences. Alright. And I have this little window here. I go to Audio and I want to make sure all my audio settings are good. Alright, so I have my input device, output device, but we're more interested in sample rate right now. Alright, so our sample rate is about 48,000 Hertz, which is great. Buffer size 526, which is good for what we are going to do. Alright, so we can close this down. Alright, so now that we've done that, we want to import our plugin into the DAW. So I just click on this little plug icon here, and it brings up all my plugins. Alright, so I'm going to work with Massive today. Just want to take this and drag it across to this track. Alright, and you see the interface show up. But I don't need this interface, it's already running in the background. Alright, so now I want to just prepare this track before I do anything. I'm going to rename this track to Coursera project. Alright, and I also want to color this track to categorize it. So I right click on the title bar again, pick any color. Next I want to make sure that this track is armed. So I come down here to this little button and it's already armed. I've just unarmed it and you see that it's gray now. When I arm it, it's red, and now we can go ahead and record. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we have a good metronome. So let's just click here on this little icon here, and we've turned on the metronome. Alright, and before we go any further, let's make sure we got a good counting before we start recording. Alright, so we go up to Live, click here, go to Preferences, and then we go to Record Warp Launch, and you see here there's this little counting option, and I have it set to just 1 bar, which is good for what I'm going to do. Alright, so now we're ready to record. I'm going to record right onto this track, alright, by just clicking on this button here. Here we go. Alright, so as you could have told, that was a pretty sloppy performance. It wasn't always on the beat, it wasn't tight. Alright, so we want to use quantizing to tighten up this performance. Alright, so we're just going to click here to bring up double click on this little session here to bring up all the MIDI information. So I want to quantize all of these notes. So I'm going to use Command A to highlight all, and then I'm going to right click anywhere in the piano roll. Alright, I'm just going to choose Quantize Settings. Alright, so you see my settings come up here. I can quantize to 8 notes, triplets, 16 notes, 32 notes, but we're going to use 8 notes for today. Alright, I'm going to adjust both the start and the end of the note, and I want to have the strength, quantize strength, just about 50%. Alright, it's also known as the quantize amount. Alright, and you saw the notes there shifted just a little bit. Alright, so now let's play this and see how it sounds. Alright, so that was okay, but we want to get a much tighter performance than that. So as you can see, some of the notes are still just a little bit off the beat. Alright, so I'm going to right click here again. I already have everything highlighted, and I'm going to set my quantize strength or amount back up to just 100%. Right, and you see everything is snapped perfectly directly on the grid, and that's pretty good for what I'm going for. Alright, so now let's play this back and see how it sounds. Alright, so we have that performance in. I think it's tight, I think it's good, and we can work with this, we can do something with this. So thanks for checking out my quick lesson on MIDI, recording, and quantizing. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was able to teach something, and I really hope that I can get a good grade on this. Thanks again for checking it out. Hope to hear from you soon.